And greetings, friends. Today I want to talk to you about Exodus, the 34th chapter, verse 28, that says this. It says, "And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights," talking about Moses. It says, "He did neither eat bread nor drink water." And then it says, "And he wrote upon the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments." And a lot of people take this to mean that it wasn't God that wrote the 10 Commandments. It was Moses that wrote the 10 Commandments. Is that true? Is that what the Bible is telling us in this passage? Well, as it says here in the pulpit commentary, it says it has been argued from this expression that Moses wrote the words of the second tables, and it would be natural so to understand the passage that way had nothing else been said on the subject. You see, the Bible is written, as we keep insisting here at the BICOG, that the Bible is written, it's like a big jigsaw puzzle, a little here and a little there, as it says in the book of Isaiah. That you find a particular subject all over the Bible, you take all the pieces of one particular doctrine, you put it all together, and you get the complete story. If nothing else was said, then yes, maybe it would have been Moses that wrote the tablets of the 10 Commandments, a second set. But look at Exodus, the 34th chapter, the same chapter, and verse 1. It says this, "And the Lord said unto Moses, Hew thee 2 tables of stone, like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest." So God says that he would write it. And then it plainly says here, back in verse 28, it says, "And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 Commandments." Who is this he? Well, obviously, it is God Almighty who wrote the second set. It says here, back at the pulpit commentary, it says, "But in verse 1, we are told that God said, I will write upon these tables." And the same is repeated in Deuteronomy 10:2. And let's just go to Deuteronomy 10, where it says this. It says, "I will write on the tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest, and thou shalt put them in the ark." And then it says this in verse 4. "And he wrote on the tables, according to the first writing, the 10 Commandments, which the Eternal spake unto you in the mount out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly, and the Lord gave them unto me." So it's obvious that God wrote the 10 Commandments, the first and the second set, and not Moses. Then it says here in moreover, Deuteronomy 10:4, "It is distinctly declared, he, i.e. God, wrote on the tables according to the first writing." We must therefore guard he in this passage as meaning the Lord, which is quite possible according to the Hebrew idiom. That's the pulpit commentary. And then the Ellicott commentary basically says the same thing. It has been concluded from this statement that Moses engraved the words upon the second tables, and the passage, if it stood alone, would certainly admit and indeed naturally suggest this meaning. But the Hebrew idiom allows us to regard Jehovah as the subject to the verb wrote, and it is necessary so to do in order to bring the passage into agreement with Exodus 34:1, Deuteronomy 10:2, and Deuteronomy 10:4. Thus, the second tables are to be viewed as written with the finger of God no less than the first. And of course, we know that the 10 Commandments, as it says in Exodus 32:16, it says the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God graven upon the tables. That's the first set and also the second set. The law of God is the work of God, and the only one that can write the law of God is the King of the universe himself, God, Jehovah. So to say that this passage says that Moses wrote the 10 Commandments is just another Bible misconception.